For those of you who don't know us, I am Jude and this is...
Chris. Hello.
And together we are
Ready,
Steady
Steady
Websites. Is
Bing.
that our thing now?
I don't know.
We're going to do that
Okay.
together on everyone. So, today we are talking about 5 ways to drive traffic to your website. Now that is important. You do need to be driving traffic to your website regularly. I think we come across quite a lot of people who they get their website and they put it up there and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and they've planned it well and it's fantastic. And then about 3 days later they'll go, so how do I get it on the first page of Google?
Yes.
And it's not really how it works.
No.
First of all, it does take a little bit of time for Google and the other search engines that are still out there to actually do what's called index a website once it goes out there for the first time. So it's going to take a little while for Google to even find it and see that it's there. But it'll do it quicker if it sees lots of traffic going to it. And even once it's there and Google's noticed it, it's going to do better if traffic is still continuously going to your website. So you do need to be driving traffic there. Also, if you're sending traffic there, it's warm traffic. And then your website doesn't have to work quite as hard to actually get those leads and sales in. So it's really good to be sending traffic to your website anyway. It's your online salesperson, takes away some of the work from you as well once you've got to a certain stage of chatting to someone to then send them to the website. So you do need to be sending traffic there. So we have got 5 ways in which we recommend that you do this.
Have we?
We have.
Okay.
Would you like to do number 1, Chris?
Yes, number 1 is social media. Number 2?
Okay.
So, social media is kind of one of the most powerful ways of driving traffic to your site. If you've seen other videos of ours, we say don't rely on social media, but also don't ignore social media because it is needed. So what we recommend is picking 1 or 2 platforms that you are most present with, most aligned with, work best for your ideal client, whatever those you want to pick, and then run with those 2 platforms. So for us, that's Facebook and Instagram. We find those 2 platforms very good. Obviously, we're also on YouTube now as well. And the idea of that really is that you're posting content regularly there. So with our kind of social media strategy, we make sure we're posting on a network a day roughly. We also do some LinkedIn stuff as well, but obviously it depends on how comfortable you are, how much time you have, but we do recommend consistently posting across there. And when you're posting something, those posts should ideally have some kind of call to action. So on Instagram, for example, you can't link things directly from your comments or anything like that, but you can send people to your profile page. And what we do there is recommend having a links page set up. We don't recommend using Linktree, but having your own links page on your website, which should be easily doable on almost all websites if you have the time and inclination to do that. It takes about 15 minutes, probably max. And then on Facebook, obviously, you've got a bit more control because you can link directly to resources and those kind of things. The same with LinkedIn as well. So it depends on the platform, but we recommend consistent approach to driving traffic to your website.
We recommend that you should, on your own profile or on your own page, you should be like linking to your website for something at least once a week. So whether that is a blog post, whether it's some free resource, whether it's something you've got coming up soon, at least once a week link to your website from that. But also get involved in chats, get involved in conversations in groups, especially groups where you know your ideal client is. We get, from social media perspective, we get most of our traffic from Facebook, and that is definitely not coming from our Facebook page. That is definitely coming from conversations we're having in Facebook groups, from links we're posting in groups. If somebody has mentioned that we've got a free challenge coming up, and so we'll go in and then put the link to the challenge, that kind of thing. So definitely get involved in conversations, be social on social media, and that's what works best. So another way, way number 2 to send traffic to your website is through your emails. So we do advocate that you build an email list because email lists are much more effective at getting people to actually take action. And I've written a blog post about this, and I will link to that blog post under this video. But if you put emails out to your list on a regular basis, on every email you send out, there should be some link back to your website. So weekly we put out a blog post, and so in our weekly email that we send out to our list, we will send them to that blog post, let them know what the post is that week, who it's going to be particularly useful for and helpful for, and put the link in there. You know, if we have got a new free resource, we'll talk about that in our emails. If we've got a challenge coming up, we'll talk about that in our emails. So you should be linking from your nurture emails to your website every time that you send an email out. And that is an incredibly effective way of sending traffic to your website, because not only are they warm people, but it is just shown that it's much more likely that people will click on links on emails than they will on social media. So it's really, really worth doing.
So obviously we're talking about getting people from social media onto some kind of list on your website, and then basically retargeting them, continuing the nurture from social media to website to email list back to website again.
Absolutely.
You can see how things start to connect, the dots start to connect up.
Definitely.
So the third point is from a guest blog post perspective, really good way, and we've shared this before on other videos, about actually guest blog writing on another person's blog. So that person's blog ideally should also sit in the kind of zone of where where your ideal client hangs out. Essentially, you could be doubling your audience if that audience don't already know about you, or at least sharing some of the audience with them. And that establishes you as an expert on their blog post, but also they advocate you as an expert as well. So it's kind of like a double win of authority in terms of kind of people thinking that you are the best at what you do and that you're recommended. And then in those blog posts, obviously the best thing to do is link back over to a free resource on your website or another blog post on your website, so you're getting them across to your website and hopefully then getting them onto your list as well. So it's all well and good having written blog posts on various other sites, but really you want to be getting at least an email address for your trouble from that kind of guest blog post perspective.
Yeah, so guest blogs are a really good way of getting traffic to your website from a new audience. And another way, it's similar to the guest blog post, but you want to be linking back to your website from any other guest appearances that you do. So Chris and I appear on quite a lot of podcasts. So any podcast interview we do, it goes on that person's website. They've got some show notes there. Part of the show notes is linking either just generally to our website, or if we have mentioned a free resource or something on that podcast interview, it will link to that in the show notes. So if you can get yourself on podcast interviews, that's a really good idea. Also, you may do YouTube videos with people. So we have started our YouTube channel, but if you search for Ready Steady Websites, you will see us pop up on some other people's YouTube channels as well. And they will then as well, in the notes under the video, mention us, mention our website as well. So if you can be getting different people talking about you and linking to your website, then those guest appearances are a great way of getting traffic to your website.
And the next tip is networking. So we do a lot of different networking. Sometimes it's together, sometimes it's singularly. A lot of the groups that Jude's in are female only. So
I don't let Chris in, despite the hair.
Even the long hair. If I shaved off the beard, maybe I'd get in, but who knows. So networking is a good way of kind of getting people to your website as well. So it's quite often useful to have a free resource on your site that will actually make people click off and go to your website, because depending on the size of the networking group, there may be people who just don't bother clicking on anything because there's just too much information going. But if they know that they're going to be able to click on your website and get something useful to them, then they're more likely to go and visit it and then sign up for your thing, and then you start building up an email list from there. Obviously, people talk to people as well, so once you're in their mind, they'll also talk to other people and they'll recommend you. So that's a kind of a cross-networking, wider network perspective. Networking really does become quite useful for that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and also if there's a networking group you've got to know well and you know you've written a blog post that could be particularly relevant for the group, mention that blog post next time you're networking. If you're doing online networking on Zoom, pop it in the chat just saying, oh, I wrote this recently and I thought it'd be really useful for this group. So you're sending people there. One thing that I especially see in networking, and Chris possibly sees it too, I've not asked him the question, is when I go to networking and then it gets to the point where someone wants to share something, or even like the person running the networking says, why don't you pop your websites in the chat now so that people can go and see more about what you do? I have people on that networking go, I don't want to share my website because Jude's here. because they are just...
Not that Jude's horrible.
No, I'm lovely. But because they know their website isn't up to scratch and they're embarrassed about their website, and they might have a certain level of embarrassment sharing it anyway with other business owners. But when one of the business owners does websites, that makes them even more worried about sharing it. And you shouldn't feel like that about your website. Your website should be showing your business off. It should really, really demonstrate how wonderful you are in your business, and you shouldn't be embarrassed by it. So if you're at that point, if you're sitting here listening to all these ways you should be showing your website and you're thinking, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want anyone to see it. Are you mad? Then we would like to help you with that. So please go and look at some of our other videos, especially our 5 top tips to planning your website, because that's a really good place to start. Even if you've currently got a website, perhaps you need to take it back to the start, plan it from scratch again, see the bits that aren't working well that you can tweak. But also we do have a range of free resources that will help you, think about your ideal client, will help you think about the layout of your website, how to plan it, think about some of the design elements. And we will put a link to our free resources under this video so you can go and check that out. And just give us a shout once you get to our website. If you want to ask us a question, you can get in contact with us via our website, and we will help you so you don't feel embarrassed about sharing your website in any of these eventualities in the future.
No more website shame.
No more website shame, absolutely.
So if you found that video useful, this video useful, give us a thumbs up, and also feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos coming up from us.
Absolutely, and share them with your friends as well. So thank you for joining us on this video. Hopefully we'll see you on another one soon, and take care and have a good day. Bye bye.
Cheers.